last episode, Mike had arrived in Florida and left from Fort Pierce Marina on his first day. And this was basically on the way to Cocoa Beach, Florida. They went through their first bridge opening, which was an exciting experience for Mike. and the crew were just getting used to the boat, basically, in that first episode. And Mike spent most of the day motoring along the ICW, which is pretty much what will happen again. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So the first trip is to go from Fort Pierce, Florida, where the boat was launched, to Myrtle Beach. And on day 1, they got to almost Cocoa Beach. And this video is about day 2, trying to get to Daytona Beach, which they're hoping to do before the end of the day. So Mike, it looks like it's a pretty glassy, calm day out there.
It is. We really lucked out on the weather on several of the days for this trip. Beautiful sunshine. The mornings tended to be pretty cool, which is, I guess, normal for this time of year in that area, especially close to the ocean. But yeah, it was just a beautiful day, and that sunshine really warms you up after you start early in the morning. We started, I think, just a little bit before sunrise.
And yet there's not much sailing you can do when there's basically no wind.
You got it. Yeah, you can even see the calm water reflecting on the sail bag there. So yeah, it was pretty perfect day for relaxing and reading a book and sunbathing a little bit, but pretty much a suboptimal day for sailing at this point.
What was really fun for me was being able to watch the progress of the boat from where I was in Ottawa, Canada. So can you talk a little bit about the satellite tracking system that you used?
Yeah. The owner of the boat kindly included his satellite tracker with the boat, which is it's an InReach SE, which is it runs on the Iridium satellite network and has basically full global coverage. And you set it to track your position. So what it does is it uploads a GPS position and a course and a speed every interval that you set. So I had it set for an hourly update to show whoever was watching. Primarily Christina here and family and friends, but it would basically give our location on a regular hourly basis through the whole day, and at the end of the day I would shut it off so you didn't get 10 points overnight while sitting at anchor. It also has the capability of sending text messages and receiving text messages if we're in a place that didn't have any cell coverage, as well as an emergency function, so you can basically send out an SOS in case there was some kind of emergency, medical or boat or otherwise, and basically set a rescue in motion if you need to.
So I see here you're going through another bridge. It seems like this is the main thing you do on the ICW, is going through bridges.
There are quite a stack of the things, yeah. So what I had with me was online I found this great resource for all of that lists all of the bridges on the ICW, and it was pretty good. It was slightly out of date because some bridges had been torn down, so there's a bascule bridge or two that had been torn down, and a full height fixed bridge had replaced it. So but anyway, it's super useful for keeping track of your position, for planning where you want to anchor, and looking at distances over a day, because it shows you the mile marker on the ICW where that particular bridge is. Plus it lets you know if the next bridge is fixed or next bridge is opening. And in some heavily populated areas you would have a fixed bridge, and then an opening bridge, and then another opening bridge, and then a fixed bridge, and it would just so you'd have to know in advance which ones you have to call into in order to actually get them to open the bridge for you. Anyway, that was super handy as a resource, and it lets you sort of strike them off as you go and know what to expect coming up, which is pretty cool. And it almost blew off the boat a couple of times, but
And in this picture, you're not on the ocean still. You're still in the ICW. It's just very wide.
It's wide, and that's a wide angle lens too, so stuff looks further away than it is. But yeah, that little dot in the background is actually, I believe that's the rocket assembly building for the Cape Canaveral launch site. So you've probably seen that in videos or something in the past. But that dot was visible for probably more than half of the day, well over half the day, many hours. It was off in the horizon, so it just gives you a bit of an idea of the scale of that place and the scale of that building. It was pretty impressive. So yeah, just I guess we caught it sometime in the morning, and yeah, just stayed there pretty much all day.
That's cool. Well, I know you did a really interesting time lapse that's coming up, and so it gives a bit of a quicker view of going through the ICW. So that's what's happening here. And basically, it just seems like on a glassy day like this, you're motoring through and people are relaxing on the deck.
Yeah, everyone's relaxing, and I managed to make good use of the autopilot at times, especially on these straight stretches like you see here. I hit the autopilot and just keep going that way. And this was a really neat cut. That was through one of the national parks, I think, and a half-open bridge was a little unnerving. But yeah, that was one of the most beautiful areas of the whole ICW. Was right through that little area, and there were tons of people at the park fishing, or not. I don't know if they were, maybe they were, but looking out at the water, and I think there may have been a campsite or two in there as well. It looked really neat. But yeah, so in here is just behind the barrier island. There's this really wide area where you go behind the barrier islands through the ICW, but it's super shallow.
It looks really interesting. It looks really beautiful.
Missed the bridge. 2 minutes.
I feel like we're doing really good time here, Mike.
Yeah, well, we've got 15 miles to go after this, so we should be okay, yeah.
How deep are we, Mike?
11 feet. So this bridge actually caused me a bit of stress and trouble. We had to wait a little bit for the traffic to stop and clear because there were cars on the bridge to begin with.
But you also missed the bridge, right, or something?
No. It was I don't think so. No, I didn't miss that bridge. I was just waiting for the traffic to clear for it to open. But in this particular spot, it was just the wrong time for tides and wind and everything, and the boat was being pushed sideways in a hurry. So that made it a bit of a challenge while I was waiting for the bridge to open. I had to sort of sit still in this fairway of the channel to try to make it through without drifting into the bridge's pilings or into the what do they call those things, the fenders or anything. So that was a bit of a challenge, but managed it anyway.
Well, the longer video was quite a long time where you were actually just sitting there, waiting for the bridge to open. And
yeah, exactly. I had to sort of
complicated.
sit there and wiggle around like crazy, and yeah. So with the twin outboards, they're not as far apart as they would be like with the inboards on a bigger cat, which are further apart. So it makes it a little more of a challenge to do the pivoting and the sort of things that you would expect to be able to do with the twin engine boat. So it's fine and it works. It's just you have to plan for it.
So this was your last bridge. It sounded like you were 15 miles from Daytona Beach. So did you manage to arrive okay?
We did, just at dusk. It worked out just right for us. We had the perfect amount of time to drop the anchor and get some people on shore to enjoy the sights of Daytona Beach.